So the banking sector is no doubt breathing a sigh of relief this lunchtime. Friday's planned shutdown against retrenchments has been called off. This after the Labour Court ruled that the protest by banking union SASPO would be unprotected. Business Unity South Africa argued the NEDLAC strike notice used by the union was first issued in August of 2017 and cannot be relied on more than 2 years later. Dimakatso Leshoro is our reporter on this story. Dimakatso, live for us in the newsroom. And victory for Business Unity South Africa, Dimakatso, but SASPO will fight on.
They will indeed, Tendegile. I mean, you have to consider the impact that this strike would have had on our economy. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we make about 14 billion rand a day from transactions in the economy generally, and this would have had a huge impact on that, especially on huge transactions on a national payment system, because if you had IT people working in banks and, downing tools and not being able to process those transactions, you can imagine the implications there. But let's hear what the Judge Naika, had to say.
Any person who takes part in the intended protest action does not enjoy the protections afforded by Section 67 of the LRA. 3. COSATU and SASPO are hereby interdicted and restrained from proceeding with, encouraging or enticing employees to engage in the intended protest action or any conduct in contemplation or in furtherance thereof, unless and until such time as they have complied with the Section 77 of the LRA. 4. COSATU is directed to advise its affiliates, including SASPO, and their members that its proposed protest action is unlawful and in breach of Section 77 of the LRA. And finally, I make no order as to costs.
Dimakatso, SASPO has said that its members should not go ahead with the planned strike tomorrow while they appeal today's ruling. Was there a fear that they would defy this interdict?
I don't think so, Timigile. I mean, think about it. SASPO has actually never gone on strike, so we've never actually seen, bankers or tailors out on strike. This is why this process was led by COSATU to provide support to SASPO, because they were, afraid or concerned that it may be a damn squib if they're not involved. So you had COSATU mobilizing some of their affiliates to support this strike. So I don't think there is any danger of perhaps SASPO members defying the order. SASPO itself has said that they started, issuing SMS notices to their members to tell them that the protest action has been suspended, to use their words. They said that they are going to be launching an appeal. They're also going back to NEDLAC to start the process afresh, which is something that they should have done in the first place, according to the judge. But let's hear what the General Secretary of SASPO, Joe Kokela, had to say.
For us to make this thing to be urgent, we believe that since now we've received the document of the court order, and that is going to help us also to look through it and see what is it that is in the document, and we will appeal on the judgment rather than to look deep into the substantive issue. So the substantive issues will come as we go, and we think that might help us because we want this thing to be an urgent appeal.
Dimakatso, let's speak broadly for a moment about job losses and the broader picture as far as that is concerned, because yesterday, I recall, there was some debate at a level about the impact of retrenchments in the banking sector.
So, of course, that BUSA is denying the extent of the job losses in the banking sector, and SASPO is saying that people are losing jobs every day. If you look at the figures don't lie, Tembegile. We looked at the quarterly employment numbers that came out today from Status Say those are jobs in the formal sector. If you look at banking specifically, Tembegile, you'll see that between Q1 of this year and Q2, 7,238 jobs were lost. If you look at the numbers from 2017 Q3, you'll see a downward trend in terms of jobs. In 2017 Q3, there were 333,000, rather, let me put it this way, 33,797,000 jobs were lost in the banking sector between 2017 Q3 and now 2019 Q2. So you cannot argue with the figures and say that the job losses are not that extensive. The figures here tell a different story from what BUSA would have us believe.
So a bleak picture all around then. ENC reporter Dimakatso Leshoro live for us in the newsroom.